Hey guys, what's up? It's your boy here at you once again. Been a few weeks since I did my last video. We're on the road to WrestleMania. We have one more stop, and then WrestleMania actually be here. 2 night event again this year, like it was last. We're gonna talk about Elimination Chamber, what everyone's been talking about. Regardless of how creatively bankrupt WWE is, they still manage to find a way. It may take them a while to get there, but they will find a way to get you to talk about something. Either whether people are in an uproar and uprage, or they're elated about something, whatever. WWE will get you talking. Um, Elimination Chamber last night. I'm not gonna really go beat for beat the entire pay per view. I would say in its entirety, I thought it was an enjoyable show. I know going into it for weeks, a lot of people were concerned about it being like really short because there were like only 5 matches announced, and then you had the situation with the Raw Women's title match, which was going to be on the show, that ended up not happening. So we had 5 matches, and honestly, I think for the very fact that we had 5 matches on that pay per view and it lasted like literally, I think I looked on the network, it was like 2.5 hours. It was like 2:35 to 2.5 hour minute mark. It kind of, to me, the show ran a lot smoother and better in my opinion, and I kind of wish and hope for these non like big four pay per views that WWE would take the initiative and kind of keep their pay per views at a minimum to like 6 or 7 matches, and they last like 2.5 hours, whatever. Because to me, it was great. Time flew watching that pay per view. The SmackDown Elimination Chamber match was entertaining. It was good for what it was. To me, I think of the two, the SmackDown had the better Chamber match. Daniel Bryan won, persevered. Roman Reigns came out, choked Daniel Bryan out. Edge speared Roman Reigns after the victory, so Edge just picked his winner, or his opponent for WrestleMania, which we kind of all speculated that would have been the route that he would have taken. So that should be an interesting main event set locked in. Fast forward to the Raw WWE Championship Chamber match. That was a good match too. McIntyre successfully defended and persevered. However, McIntyre got murdered by Bobby Lashley, who had lost his United States title earlier in the night in a triple threat to Matt Riddle. Bobby Lashley just destroys Drew McIntyre, destroys him. Then you hear the Miz's music pop. Miz comes out with the briefcase. Miz, I forgot what finisher he used, but he hit him with the move. I think it was like a DDT or whatever. And Drew kicked out. So I was like, okay, well maybe they might do a fake cash in, or a failed cash in, like what they did back in December. Drew hit him again with this finisher, with a second finisher, and Miz hit Drew with a second finisher, and he pinned Drew 3 times, and he won the WWE Championship. So after, Jesus Christ, when was the Miz WWE Champion? Was it 2010, 11? 10 years. The Miz has been it's been since the Miz has been WWE Champion, and Miz is now WWE Champion again. Like, wow. A lot of people are in an uproar about this. A lot of people are just saying like, man, Miz is champion. He's going into WrestleMania as WWE Champion. Like, are you kidding me? I'm kind of, me personally, thinking about this like a lot of other people that I've listened to as well. We all come to the same agreement. Miz being WWE Champion last night is a plot. It's a plot point. It's a plot point to get to an end that justifies its means for the WWE title. Miz to me is a transitional champion. If Let's take WrestleMania out of the equation for a minute. I just want to talk about Miz for like 5 seconds here. If WWE were ever serious about Miz being a world champion and putting the world title on him and him having a lengthy run, they should have done that 5 years ago when Miz was on SmackDown, and y'all know what I'm talking about. When SmackDown was like, and SmackDown's more enjoyable now, of the two main brands. But back in 2016, when they had that third brand split or second brand split, whatever, and you had guys like AJ Styles, The Miz, Daniel Bryan, John Cena was on SmackDown. Like SmackDown had a small, tight, but like really solid roster. That year, that was the Miz's year. Like Miz was like firing on all cylinders. Him being like a really good heel, him taking the Intercontinental title up to the next level, him having his beef with Daniel Bryan and bringing Daniel Bryan out of retirement. If they were ever going to put the strap on the Miz and take him seriously as a champ, they should have done it then. But then they didn't, and they end up tagging him with Shane McMahon, and then that ended up going into the direction it ended up going into. Fast forward, several years later, we're in 2021. You look how Miz has been booked over the past year, 2020, coming into the new year. Miz is not a guy you put the belt on just to, have a lengthy run or to headline your main event at WrestleMania. Miz has been booked like a mid-carder, and not a strong mid-carder, but a comedy relief, a joke, what Miz has always been known to play for so many years of his WWE career. So, him being champion, I don't think he's going into WrestleMania. I think The Miz is a transitional champion for a reason. We do have one more pay-per-view next month, March 21st or something like that, and then literally like 2 weeks after that, we've got WrestleMania, which to me I think is kind of stupid. Like, if you have that last pay per view, I would rather say have that. If it were I'd have Fastlane 2 weeks from Elimination Chamber, and then you'd have a 3.5, 4 week run of just a WrestleMania build rather than 2 weeks. But whatever the case, Miz being WWE Champion is just a plot device. You go back before the Raw Chamber match had even started. You saw MVP talk with The Miz as The Miz was caressing his briefcase. So that leads you to believe there had to be some deal going on between the Hurt Business and The Miz, where MVP's probably saying, hey, I'll have Lashley kill McIntyre. You pick up the bones. He becomes champion. You offer my guy, the first guy you offer a title shot to is Bobby Lashley, in return for him beating down Drew and and him making it easy for you to cash in your briefcase. That is a plot. That is an angle that they can go. We'll see tonight on Raw, which would be an interesting take. But like I said, at the end of the day, I think this is to get the WWE Championship on Bobby Lashley. I've said it to my friends personally. I haven't posted anything online. I kind of wish I did now, looking back at it. But a lot of people have been saying Bobby Lashley has been booked really, really, really strong. For as trash as Raw has been in 2020, the only two bright spots coming out of 2020 on Raw, to me, that I think WWE has properly booked is Drew McIntyre and the Hurt Business and Bobby Lashley in particular in the last like 6 or 7 months. Those have been the two key things that they've booked properly on Raw. Bobby Lashley has been a beast. Bobby Lashley has been booked like how a lot of people say he's been kind of booked like a Brock Lesnar. To me, I get that similarity, but to me, Bobby Lashley has been booked like how I look at it as how Lashley was booked when he was in TNA. When Bobby Lashley, his second run in TNA, Lashley was a beast. He was like TNA's Black Lesnar. He was their Brock Lesnar, but a black version. He was their Black Lesnar. And just like in TNA, he worked with MVP as a mouthpiece, which is what should be, right now, because Lashley cannot talk for worth of crap on the microphone. So they had all the right ingredients and pieces in TNA, and Lashley, to me, was one of the more dominant and best champions that Impact or TNA, whatever, has ever had. Fast forward in WWE, we have WWE's version of that, in particular in the last several months. So Um, Everyone is thinking kind of along the same thoughts. This might be Lashley. Drew will probably definitely get his guaranteed shot at WrestleMania. I don't think anyone's going to count out Drew. I think Drew's going to get his spot at WrestleMania. But Lashley being that top dominant heel champion looks like that might be Drew's opponent going into WrestleMania this year. Um, and I'd be cool with that. I remember a month ago, actually, Lashley had an interview, and on Lashley's interview, he said that he would love to work with Drew McIntyre again because he thinks Drew is believable and Drew is old school, and he's a guy that can fit in any era. He also mentioned how he wants to face Brock Lesnar. That's a dream match of his. But Bobby Lashley also said that he's 44 years old, and he doesn't plan on being in the business that much longer. He doesn't plan on doing this into his 50s, is what Lashley said. And that being WWE Champion would be cool because he's never won it before. So Lashley had this interview like a month and a half ago. For him to say that, the way he's been booked, how things ended the way they ended with him giving Miz the helping hand pretty much, giving him the WWE title on a silver platter, at the Chamber last night, kind of put the pieces together here. Kind of makes you wonder, are they going to pull the trigger on Bobby Lashley? Which for me, I'd be all down for because I like Bobby Lashley. I think Bobby Lashley. I personally was rooting for Bobby Lashley when he had his first WWE title match against John Cena at the Great American Bash. There were a lot of people like I who was rooting for Lashley because to me, Lashley was like John Cena at that time, these two up and coming young bulls. Granted, John Cena was already like a 3-time WWE champion at the time, and John Cena was the poster child. He was the guy. He broke that glass ceiling. Lashley had yet to do it, but still, these two young guys in their prime. It was like Lashley's due. It's his time, but that didn't happen, and we ended up knowing what happened with Lashley's career. Fast forward, 15 years later, Lashley's back. He's booked now better than he's ever been booked since his return because WWE's booked him like shit since his return. Let's be honest. They've booked him at his best since putting him with MVP, which I have been clamoring for. I'm like, when MVP came back, I'm like, put Lashley and MVP together. Please put them together because they did magic to me in TNA. Put them together. They did. They formed a faction, being the Hurt Business. Like I said, one of the bright spots of Raw. I'd be down for Lashley being WWE Champion. Yes, you could say he's 44 years old, but the guy can still go. Physically, he is in peak condition. He looks better than some 25-year-olds that are in NXT and, who are like half his age and far younger. So he can still go. He's believable as an intimidating threat. And on top of that, despite his age, he's a new, fresh face. Like, I know a lot of people say, WWE, they push the veterans and they push these guys. Push someone young or push someone new. Bobby Lashley's still new. Lashley's never been a world champion in WWE. So that's still a brand new, fresh face that could be WWE champion. Despite his age of being 44. And again, like I said, why not? Batista's been well into his 40s, winning multiple world titles, and he was past his prime. Edge could possibly beat Roman Reigns, and he's 47 at WrestleMania. So I don't know, but I really think that Miz being champion is definitely a plot device, a plot hole. There were some news that came out that said that the 3 matches that are locked in for WrestleMania is Edge versus Roman Reigns. I believe the SmackDown Women's title, Sasha Banks versus Bianca Belair. However, Bianca Belair is not chosen who she wants to face, but we all know it's going to be Banks. And they were going to do the Bad Bunny against The Miz. Let's be honest. It's going to be Bad Bunny and Damian Priest against The Miz and Morrison at WrestleMania. So that was kind of already locked in what the rumor report was about a week ago. But it was also said on the flip side, WWE didn't have any idea what to do for Drew McIntyre and the WWE title picture. So I think last night, excuse me, even though you can say WWE were kind of like grasping for straws out of their ass, I definitely think that Miz cashing in at the time that he did last night and everything, I think was a last minute ditch effort to start some concrete plans for the WWE title picture at WrestleMania. Excuse me. But despite all that, I don't think Miz is going in as champion. I don't. I think he's gonna be a transitional champion. The only thing I think of is I kind of got to go back to Sheamus. Sheamus is another guy they've been kind of building strong. I don't think we've seen the end of Sheamus. I don't think they've turned Sheamus heel just so that he could be one of 6 participants in an Elimination Chamber match, and he loses. Okay, because let's not forget, Sheamus kicked Drew McIntyre with the bro kick, but it was AJ Styles that eliminated Sheamus. Sheamus never beat Drew for the title, so you have that in the back pocket too. So I don't know where they're gonna go with this, because to me, my original thought was Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, WrestleMania. That to me, I think was like a story made in itself. But WWE had to scratch the crouch, and they had to hot shot Sheamus's heel turn right after WrestleMania, and we end up happening what happened last night at the pay-per-view. Now Miz is champion, so I don't know what do they do with Sheamus. Do they still play up Sheamus versus Drew? Lashley's definitely going to be in this picture. He has to be in the talking picture for the WWE title. There's no reason why they would have booked Lashley as strong as he has been for the past 6 months. Them just showing you a segment between Miz and MVP sharing some sort of dialogue between each other, and then later you have Lashley murder McIntyre for Miz to come in and pick up the bones and cash in and be WWE Champion. Lashley's being positioned for something. He's going to be a part of that. I mean, whether it be Drew and Lashley and Sheamus, I don't know. But Lashley is going to be in the title picture come WrestleMania for sure. I just don't know how they're going to sort it out. And I mean, as we could say, that's probably a good thing, because if no one knows, leaves you on your toes. You don't know, because WWE can't be too predictable. So we'll see where they go tonight, going into Raw. But I really am not really. I was surprised they pulled the trigger, because I would have thought they would have saved Miz like post Mania to cash in. But if they're doing it like right now, and we've got like about maybe 5 weeks left until WrestleMania, 5 or 6 weeks, Miz to me is the transitional champion right now at this point. So it is what it is. You guys let me know what you think. Do you see the big picture here? Do you think Miz is going to be WWE champion going to WrestleMania? If he is, my God. I want to hear your guys' thoughts in the box below. Do yourself a favor, hit that like button, and subscribe. Peace out.